Good morning, everyone. We are Group 4, and today we will be presenting on the Administrative Monetary Penalty System, or AMPS, which is a crucial part of how enforcement works here in Canada. This is part of our course SCM 970 Entity Custom Process. Our team members are Deepesh Kumar, myself Divas Vatta, Nagina Baral, Sogat Srestha, and Suniksha Baskota. We'll guide you through what AMPS is, what an NPS looks like, what step to take after receiving one, how AMPS differs from a seizure, and finally a real contravention example that helps tie it all together. Now I would like to call Deepesh for further slides.
Thank you, Divas. I'll be talking about administrative monetary penalty system. Let's start by understanding what the administrative monetary penalty system is. AMPS was created by CBSA, Canada Border Service Agency. Is a system that allows them to issue monetary penalties for failing to follow customs laws and regulations. It helps CBSA enforce rules without immediately taking harsher actions like seizures or criminal charges. It applies to importers, exporters, customs brokers, and carriers. Basically, anyone involved in moving goods across Canadian borders. For example, if an importer fails to report goods correctly or doesn't submit documents on time, CBSA can issue a financial penalty under AMPS instead of seizing goods or revoking license right away. This system encourages businesses to be compliant and it holds them accountable if they are not. One key thing to note, penalties can increase if the same person or company repeats the same violation. So AMPS isn't just about punishment. It's a tool that helps businesses learn, improve, and comply with Canadian customs rules. About AMPS penalty system, first, its purpose is to correct non-compliance in the commercial stream and ensure a level playing field of Canadian business. This means no one gains an unfair advantage by ignoring rules or cutting corners. Second, AMPS was implemented in December 2001 and became fully enforced by October 2002. So this is a well-established system, over 20 years in place, giving businesses a penalty of time to learn and adapt. Third, penalty amounts vary widely. They can be small for minor first-time users, but can reach up to $25,000 for single infraction for serious or repeated breaches. This range gives CBS a flexibility to apply penalties proportionally. For next slide, I would like to call Nagina.
Thank you, Dipesh. Now let's talk about monetary penalty document. First, this document is issued by the Canadian Border Service Agency, CBSA, to formally notify an individual or a business about a violation. This means that if the CBSA determines a rule or regulation has been breached, for example, in costume declaration, import or export compliance, or other border related requirements, they will issue this document as the official notice. Second, the document include key details about violation. It outlines exactly what rule or regulation was broken, the legal basis for the penalty, and the specific fine amount being charged. This ensures transparency and gives the receiver a clear understanding of why the penalty was applied and under what legal authority. Lastly, the monetary penalty document acts as a formal record of the penalty assessment. It is an official document that can be referred for the administrative processes, appeals, or compliance audits. It not only inform the receipt but also serve as a part of CBSA documentation for informants and recording purpose. In summary, the monetary penalty document is both a notification and a legal record. It tells you what the violation was, why are being fined, and how much the fine is, which also serving as the official record for the CBSA penalty system. For the next slide, I would like to call Solgat.
Thank you, Nogina. Uh, I am going to talk about what to do after receiving an NPA. Sorry. So I'm going to talk about what is an NPA. So building on that, let's focus more on what an NPA actually is, because this is the main core of AMPS. As mentioned, NPA stands for Notice of Penalty Assessment. So it's the formal letter you receive from CBSA when they believe you have violated a customs law or regulation. This document includes the contravention code, a short explanation of what rule was broken and how much money you are being fined. For example, let's say you are an importer and you accidentally use the wrong HS code for your goods. So here CBSA might issue an NPA for that misclassification under a specific contravention code. The first time it might cost you like $150 or $300, but if it happens again, the fines might go up fast. So the NPA is not just a bill, it's a warning. It means CBSA is officially flagging your activity as non-compliant. This document starts the next step, which we will talk about in the following slide. What do you do after getting one? So now let's go over what steps to take after receiving an MPA or a notice of penalty assessment. As outlined in this slide, once the NPA is issued, the client has exactly 90 calendar days to take action. So during this time, there are several options available. First, the client can pay the penalty. Here, this is the most straightforward option. If the client agrees with the penalty and accepts the violation, they can simply pay the stated amount. Second, request for correction. If there is a factual error in the NPA, such as an incorrect date, name, or contravention code, in this case, they can request that CBSA correct the information. Third, request a review. If the client disagrees with the penalty or believes it was issued in error, they can formally request a review through CBSA Recourse Directorate. So if the client decides to pursue a review, the next steps are enter into the appeal section. This means officially beginning the appeal process by indicating to CBSA that they wish to contest the NPA. And finally, they have to submit the appeal and documentation. Here, the client must provide all relevant supporting materials to the recourse directorate. This could also include written explanations, transaction records, or any other documents that support their case for reducing or canceling the penalty. And as I said before, you must do this within 90 calendar days from the date of the NPA. The review process allows you to submit explanations and evidence to show your side of the story. If your agreement is valid, CBSA might also reduce or even cancel the penalty. So for the next slide, I would like to call Suniksha.
Thank you, Sogat. So I'll be talking about the difference between AMPS and Caesar. This slide explains a really important difference. For example, we will start with the assumption that people make. A lot of people assume that a penalty means your goods are being taken, but that's not always the case. Let's break it down. AMPS is an administrative tool. It uses monetary penalties to correct behavior. It's usually used for violations like document errors, delays, or record keeping problems. A seizure, on the other hand, is a much harsher enforcement action. CBSA actually takes your goods, vehicles, or currency, usually when there's a major violation like smuggling, misrepresentation, or importing prohibited items. So, if your company forgets to submit a document, that might result in an AMPS penalty. But if your shipment contains undeclared firearms or illegal substances, that's a seizure. Also, seizures can involve further consequences, like legal charges or destruction of goods, while AMPS gives you a chance to pay a fine and improve your compliance practices. For the next slide, I'd like to hand over to Dipesh.
Thank you, Suniksha. I'm here again to talk about preliminary review assessment. Before submitting a full review, CBSA gives businesses a chance to go through a preliminary review assessment. This is kind of like a soft appeal. It lets you explain your situation informally before taking issue or a genuine misunderstanding. You can send in your explanation with some documentation, and CBSA will take a second look. What's great about this step is that sometimes the penalty might get reduced, corrected, or even cancelled, depending on the evidence. It's not guaranteed, but it shows that CBSE is open to reviewing cases before moving into a formal process. So for businesses that are honest and transparent, this is a great opportunity to clarify things early on. For next slide, I would like to call Nagina.
Thank you, Dipesh. Let's end with a real example of contravention C001. This violation happens when a business fails to keep electronic records in an electronically readable format as required by CBSA. Here is the context. If you store custom related data digitally, CBSA expects that you have the software or system to access those records. You can show them upon request, especially during audit or verification checks. In this example, someone did not have access to their record either because the file were corrupted or the system was outdated. Because they couldn't provide record for review, CBSE issue an AMPS penalty. Under Contravention C001, the retention period is 36 months and the penalty is issued per verification. So if this issue come up in more than one audit, you will be paid penalized each time. This example shows how even small oversight like poor record keeping can lead to financial consequences under AMPS. For the next slide, I would like to call Devash.
Thank you, Nagina. So that wraps up our presentation on the administrative monetary penalty system. To summarize, AMPS helps CBSA enforce custom compliance through financial penalties. It's meant to encourage correction and education rather than harsh punishment. Receiving a notice of penalty assessment means you have the opportunity to respond through correction or review. We also saw how AMPS is different from seizures and looked at a real contravention that shows how important compliance is. Thank you for listening. We hope this gave you a clear understanding of how AMPS works and how businesses can avoid common mistakes. We are happy to answer any question you have. Thank you once again.